नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुतिरये। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna to all senior assembled Vaishnavas. Today is a very auspicious day, Radhashtami, a day which is meant for intense devotees. When we speak about Vrindavan, till Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's time, only sannyasis and babajis were visiting Vrindavan a lot. Common people were in very less numbers, maybe like hardly 10%. Even people from all over India, they knew about Vrindavan. That is a place where Krishna performed pastimes. They knew everything, but they didn't know the exact location of Vrindavan. Exact location of Vrindavan was lost for nearly 200 to 300 years. During 14th century, 15th century, Vrindavan was lost from the map. People were using the term Vrindavan. They were saying Krishna's Balalila happened in Vrindavan. They were constantly speaking about Vrindavan, but they didn't know where Vrindavan is. Vrindavan disappeared. Vrindavan was lost from the map. Then Lord Chaitanya requested his followers, especially the Sadgoswamis, and the Goswamis, especially Raghunath Das Goswami. He went there and located Radhakund, Shyamkund, many temples he discovered, and they re-established Vrindavan. So once upon a time, Vrindavan was completely lost, even though people knew about Vrindavan, but they didn't know where exactly Vrindavan was. So it was hidden. So today being Radhashtami, very special. But the first point which we are going to discuss now is, are we in any way qualified to glorify Radharani? Because till Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's time, only sannyasis who have completed the family responsibilities and they moved to Vrindavan and started living there. Babajis and fakirs, only these kinds of people were living there in Vrindavan and visiting Vrindavan. After Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, slowly normal family members and normal people were visiting Vrindavan. And Prabhupada made this Vrindavan, he brought out the glories of Vrindavan to the whole world, that today, nowadays, everyone is going to Vrindavan. But we have forgotten certain facts about Radharani and Vrindavan. Prabhupada strictly said, don't try to spend more than 3 days in Vrindavan. And if at all devotees were spending time in Vrindavan, Prabhupada had intense sessions in the morning and evening in Vrindavan, and he didn't allow his disciples to roam around freely. He scolded very senior disciples when they were roaming around in Vrindavan, going to different temples. Because even Shukdev Maharaj did not use this word Radharani in Bhagavatam, in entire Bhagavatam. In one place, as you know, he has used the greatest worshipper, Aradhika. That is the only term he has used about Radharani. Aradhika, the greatest worshipper of Krishna. Because Shukdev Maharaj very clearly says that I am not qualified to speak about Radharani. And Nimbarka Sampradaya, Vallabha Sampradaya, they are even one step ahead of us. They don't even say Radharani. We at least say Radharani. They don't even say that. They say Shriji. That is how they refer Radharani, Shriji. And Prabhupada very strictly said not to take a dip in Radhakund, not to stay more unless you have some intense association. So Vrindavan is a place only for Babajis. So Prabhupada very clearly says in teachings of Lord Chaitanya, try to see Vrindavan, try to understand Radharani through the steps of Goswamis. Prabhupada very clearly he is writing that. Only by following the footsteps of Goswamis, we can see Vrindavan or understand Radharani. And what is their possession, the Goswamis' possession? Kaupina Kantashrutau. They have taken shelter of only Kaupin, that is their asset. So, actually speaking, to be very honest, sometimes we devotees take Radharani, the holy name of Radharani and glories and that for granted. But actually, Radharani is worshipped by the highly pure Jivatmas and no one else. No one else. That is how Radharani worship was considered. Only for those kind of people who are completely free from Kam, Krodha, Moha, Lobh, Mada, Matsarya. And if any devotees are little serious about it, you should try to read a book where Gaur Govind Maharaj very clearly writes all these details. The book is called Mathura Meets Vrindavan. So we know from Bhagavad Gita there are two types of devotion, Sakama Bhakta and Nishkama Bhakta. Sakama Bhakta, with so many material desires somewhere deep down, we want to achieve so many things, improve so many things, There is no room for them in Vrindavan, and they can reach only up to Mathura. Prabhupada very clearly said, even though in our temples we are worshipping Radha Krishna, but the bhav is Lakshmi Narayan bhav. Actually, the system of what we are worshipping in ISKCON temples, the bhava is Lakshmi Narayana, but the deities are Radharani and Krishna. Not qualified. Prabhupada banned so many things. When Prabhupada was there, devotees used to, his main senior disciples used to roam, and Prabhupada used to get very angry. He said, let them sit and listen to me and don't roam around much. Because we are not pure enough to understand. See, Kamsa never stepped inside Vrindavan because Kamsa can never step inside Vrindavan. Putana, Shakadasura, Trinavarta, they come, hardly a muhurta, they are dead. Kama, Krodha, Moha, Lopa, Mata, Matsarya can never enter in Vrindavan. Only Nishkama Bhaktas, that too who have developed kind of love for Krishna, they enter Vrindavan. Others are only up to Mathura. Akrura is glorifying that because Akrura is a permanent resident of Mathura, minister of Kamsa, a great devotee. But he realized the glories of Vrindavan when he traveled to bring Krishna to Mathura. He was glorifying. And even though the Rakshasas come, they are killed within moments. Only by Prabhupada's mercy nowadays we are able to travel inside Vrindavan. No room for anger. You don't see anywhere like, Nanda Maharaj getting angry with Yashoda and they are getting angry with Krishna and beating him and the Gopa scolding each other and Gopa is having jealousy and envious and they are competing and fighting. You don't see any of these pastimes in Vrindavan. Because their focus is Krishna. Nanda Maharaj, they were preparing for Indra Puja. And Indra Puja means it's like they were preparing for days together, arranging yajna, havan, collecting ingredients and bringing brahmanas, and they were arranging. And on that day morning, Krishna, who was just 8-year-old boy, he said, don't do it, it's wrong, and you worship Govardhan, and they all listened to that, Krishna. There was no opinion difference, they simply listened to Krishna, and they cancelled Indra Puja. Then they performed Indra Puja. And Indra, poured his anger. Tormenting rainfall. The whole village was about to get washed away. The cattle are swept in the river. And the roofs of the huts were all our trees were uprooted. And still Krishna told them, don't worry, Govardhan. And they didn't get angry at all. The whole intensely absorbed in Krishna consciousness. All these Vrajvasis. Normally, imagine, you are building a house and suddenly your 8-year-old son comes and tells, Papa, don't put the door here, put it on the other side. Are you going to listen to your son who is 8-year-old, who wants to shift the door? And if at all you shift the door and a thief comes inside, we will, start getting irritated and getting angry. There is no room. You don't see anywhere Yashoda Mata is like, milking 9 lakh cows and feeding that milk to 108 cows, and that 108 cows are milked and that milk is taken. It's all for Krishna, so much of labor. And Krishna just throws the milk and gives it to monkeys, and Yashoda is smiling and hugging and showing false anger. Rohini Mata loves Krishna more than Balram. Balram is her own son. But Rohini Mata loves Krishna more than Balram. Do we love our children more or neighbors' children? So when you go through these Leelas, there is no room for anger, no room for lust. We can never understand Vrindavan and Radharani because we are all, trapped with so many things, desire. We are devotees so that, we are worshipping Krishna so that all the material necessities will be secured and we will be safe. But Radharani Bhakti is not like that. I am sorry for this disappointment, but Radharani Bhakti is completely different. It is for pure, selfless people who are so intensely absorbed. So there are two things about Radharani and Vrindavan. One is 100% pure, and the second is the forgiving nature of Vrindavan or Radharani. Because even though a demon, just begs forgiveness, then he is forgiven. If you see Kaliya and on the other side Putana, Trinavrata, Shakadasura, Kaliya was also equally damaging, killing the cows, killing the calves, poisoning the whole of Kalindi, Yamuna, and whoever drank that water, they all fell down dead. So he was also equally bad. But Kaliya was just forgiven because he begged forgiveness. Only that kind of heart can enter Vrindavan. If somebody hurts or somebody pricks or challenges and we have a bitter feeling with that person, entire life we will not forget. We may try to keep away, but we will not forget. But Vrindavan means you can never carry any bad feelings. It is not possible. That Shudrani, that lady, she was having so much of fruits in her basket. And she was singing, Govinda, Madhava, Damodara. She was, and Krishna heard, the baby boy, Krishna heard that, she's chanting his name, and he just took a handful of grain and Krishna came running outside to exchange for fruits. By the time Krishna came, all the grains, fell off. And there was only 2 grains in his palm. And the fruit vendor took that 2 grain and dumped so much of fruits. So, Krishna couldn't hold so much of fruits. And she was in bliss. She was, enjoying that ecstasy, bliss. I served Krishna. I gave fruits to Krishna and she carried the empty basket back home. And when she was carrying that empty basket, slowly, gradually, she felt that basket is becoming heavier and heavier. And she saw that basket. The basket was full of jewels. Diamond, ruby, emerald, sapphire, coral. You know what she did? If we were there, we will say, thank you, Krishna. Krishna blessed me. I know I deserve this. This is how we will think. But what she thought, Krishna, are you valuing my devotion with money? Are you comparing my devotion with money? She threw that basket in Yamuna, and Acharya's right, they have never seen that lady after that. She just threw the whole basket inside Yamuna and walked off. That's how Goswamis were. They were ministers, they were prime ministers, Zamindar's son, great Pandit, Chaturvedi. See all the Goswamis. But they simply hanged around like fakirs. He Radhe Vrajadevike Chalalite, He Nandasuno Kutaha. Where is Nandasuna? In Kalindi or in Vana or this Kunja, that Kunja? like madmen. So Goswami is right. You have to enter Vrindavan like a beggar, bhikshu. Any ego, thinking that he has to beg helplessly, hopelessly. But I am in Kerala. Kerala beggars are different. You give 1 rupee and they don't like, they will throw it back. But in other places beggars are different. Hopeless situation, they beg really. And Acharya is right, a bhikshu is allowed. That is why in ISKCON, actually when a person takes sannyasi, he is called Tridandi Bhikshu. He is a beggar. And only in that mood, a person can enter Vrindavan. No vices at all. We can't hide those vices and enter. Not possible. And the beautiful story says of Jiva Goswami's story. You all know this story. One day Vallabhacharya met Rupa Goswami and said, I want to read your book. I heard you have written a new book. They were very thick friends, Vallabhacharya and Rupa Goswami. And Rupa Goswami gave that book and Vallabhacharya read and he appreciated it. But he pointed out a couple of mistakes and said it could be like that, and Rupa Goswami accepted it. But Jiva Goswami didn't like. How can Vallabhacharya correct Rupa Manjari? He's a Manjari from Goloka Vrindavan. What qualification Jiva Goswami has got to correct Rupa Goswami? So Jiva Goswami called Vallabhacharya and said, what you did is wrong. You have corrected a Manjari, a Gopi from Goloka, who is an eternal, servitor of Krishna. Then Vallabhacharya felt very bad. Why did I do this? And he was feeling bad and he was repenting. And when Rupa Goswami came to know this, he told Jiva Goswami, you lost the qualification to live in Vrindavan. There is no right and wrong in Vrindavan. There is no senior devotee, junior devotee, right and wrong, rich, poor, educated, nothing in Vrindavan. It's only pure personalities who's begging for prema and crying and chanting Krishna's holy name can enter Vrindavan and he can appreciate Radharani. And Prabhupada very clearly said, once a devotee asked Prabhupada, what is your desire? What you want us to do? So they were expecting Prabhupada will say that you distribute maximum books, build more temples, have Goshala, have Varnashrama. But Prabhupada gave that answer, if you all develop pure love for Krishna, I will be happy. And that is the real goal. And somewhere we have to start focusing on that. Nothing is allowed. Indra was not able to enter Vrindavan because he tormented Vrajavasis. Indra was not able to enter Vrindavan. So Indra took shelter of Mother Surabhi. Krishna was very heavy, angry with Indra because he tormented Vrajavasis for 7 continuous days. And he was waiting, but Indra could not enter. Such a personal servitor of Krishna, he could not enter Vrindavan. So he has to go and take shelter of Surabhi cow. So angrily Krishna was waiting for Indra, and suddenly all of a sudden he saw Surabhi, Mother Surabhi coming. And Krishna smiled and said, my dear mother, why you have taken pain of coming all the way? And Mother Surabhi said, Krishna, I am not coming on my own. I was requested to come and this great personality is hiding behind my tail. Then Krishna saw Indra crawling and coming. And Krishna was very happy with Indra because he just took shelter of Surabhi. If we don't know to love cows, if we don't know to love Vaishnavas, if we don't know to serve deities, develop rasa for holy name, entry for Vrindavan is restricted. It is not like one aspect I can practice and I don't practice another aspect and still enter Vrindavan. It's not possible. And Radharani has to approve. Otherwise, we won't attend 3 things. seva, dham, and finally prema. Service, devotional service to Krishna, and entering the Vrindavan dham, and finally achieving Krishna prema. These three things are completely under the control of Srimati Radharani. And she brought it here. And when the pastimes were over, she took back everything back to Goloka Vrindavan, leaving three things: Yamuna, Govardhan, and dust of Vrindavan. Everything else she took back. So Radharani is the complete controller of devotional service, holy dham and prema. Vrindavan dham and Krishna prema. Otherwise, the book says, Mathura meets Vrindavan, Gaur Govind Maharaj has written, and he has taken from Goswamis only, he says, our bhakti will go only up to Mathura. And one small danger in Mathura bhakti or Aishwarya bhakti is, it is like in the paddy field, more than the rice, the paddy, the weeds grow very fast. Oh, I am a devotee for last 10 years, I am a devotee for 20 years, I know more, I know shlokas, I know this. These weeds grow very faster. But in Vrindavan, pure bhakti doesn't happen. Even, Putana, even though she was a demoness, everything, still she became mother of Krishna in Goloka. She got that position because somewhere she desired, I want this baby as my son. Acharyas say, even though she came to kill Krishna, she lifted Krishna and she felt how handsome this boy is. She felt for a second. And because Krishna's lips touched her, she became purified. So, as Prabhupada wanted, devotees should be working very hard to get out of these 6 vices. Kama, Krodha, Moha, Lobha, Mada, and the competition mentality, ego, envy. Then slowly we can come out. We are struggling, many of us are struggling to do the basic sadhana sincerely. So we are not at all qualified to speak about Radharani because Krishna is controlled by Radharani. For a sadhana bhakta, can't even, in Vrindavan Leelas, Manjaris are not getting closer to Radharani. Manjaris will serve the gopis and the gopis will serve the Ashtasakis and the Ashtasakis will serve Radharani directly. Even these pure souls in Vrindavan, they can't go near Radharani. This is Radharani's bhav, not getting tinged by anything else. That is why Radharani married Abhimanyu, who is a shadow of Krishna. No other, living entity can touch even touch the shadow of Radharani. So pure. Once in a class in Vrindavan, Prabhupada, devotees his disciples were roaming around and going to different temples and they heard so many stories about gopis and Radharani. And they insisted Prabhupada to speak about Radharani. Please tell some stories and all. That's why you don't see Prabhupada elaborating anywhere Radharani stories. Have you ever read Radharani stories written by Prabhupada in Bhagavatam or in Chaitanya Charitamrita? All the pastimes and things. So the devotees were insisting Prabhupada, please speak about Radharani, please speak about Radharani. And Prabhupada just choked. He couldn't speak. Tears were there. Then Prabhupada stopped and sang this famous song. What is that? Jayadever Pranadana Re Radha Madhava Radhe Sanataner Pranad. He sang that song and stopped the class. Prabhupada very humbly said, I am not qualified. So we should understand simply how pure we should become to discuss about Radharani, the pastimes of Radharani. Very, very, what do you say? It's completely in a different, it is not touched by materialism at all. And Prabhupada says we will never understand those pastimes. So Goswami secretly wrote books about Radharani, Lalita Madhava, Vidakta Madhava, then Jayadeva Kavi wrote Gita Govindam, then Kavi Karnapura, Leela Sukha, Vilvamangal Thakur wrote Sri Krishna Karnamritam, all that very deep and intimate pastimes of Radharani and gopis with Krishna. After writing that, they said, don't read it. We are not supposed to read it. Because, to be very honest, we are struggling to control our anger. We have lust within. We are egoistic. If a devotee overtakes us, we feel uneasy. So, no point. So, we have to simply worship Radharani, begging mercy from her. The way Goswamis were worshipping. Madhavendra Puri, only in secret places, he will sit alone and chant gopis' names and cry. They don't have any connection with materialism at all. They don't have, zero connection. They lived with 2-3 cowpins maybe maximum, had few books. They didn't worry about their food. Once in 3 days, 4 days, 5 days they worry about their food. Means they think about food. And simply serving deities and chanting 100 rounds, 120 rounds and So in Sadgoswami Ashtakam it is very clearly said, Vrindavan and Radharani are Babaji's possessions. People in that mentality. So that pure is Radharani. We have to simply beg mercy to enter into Vrindavan, to attain prema and to even render devotional service. Radharani controlled Krishna. Krishna is completely, and Krishna gave that freedom to Radharani. So sometimes, in the pastimes and all, it's like, Radharani beating Krishna, tying Krishna to trees and all. Krishna was happy. Madana Mohana Mohini. She is the boss. So, in that mood, in a humble mood, we should approach Radharani. So anyway, being Radhashtami day, it's better to discuss at least one pastimes about Goswamis, some pastime. Ter Kadamba is a very, very beautiful place and you all must have been to Ter Kadamba. When Rupa Goswami was writing that, I don't know which book, Vidagdha Madhava or Lalita Madhava, under the Kadamba Vriksha in Vrindavan. Whenever he was writing about that intense viraha of Radharani and Krishna, the separation, the tree who was witnessing Rupa Goswami used to shed all the leaves and become dry. And immediately when Rupa Goswami writes Sambhoga about Krishna and Radharani, the tree will start blossoming. So the tree was reciprocating to Rupa Goswami, the Kadamba Vriksha, the Ter Kadamba. And Rupa Goswami will sit and, for days together chant in hot sun. And one day Sanatan Goswami came and he saw Radharani holding a cloth on top of Rupa Goswami, and Sanatan Goswami became very disturbed. You are supposed to serve, Radharani, but Radharani is serving you. So you can understand the relationship is like only between those kind of Babajis and Radharani, not like devotees like us. Only those kind of devotees who have completely renounced everything. Another day, Sanatan Goswami came in the noon, and Rupa Goswami felt, my brother is coming, I have to feed him something. My dear brother is coming, and immediately Rupa Goswami made kheer. Even now, you go to Ter Kadamba not in Kartik or not in crowded time, they will give you a beautiful kheer, so tasty, nectarian kheer they will give you. I don't know, maybe you might have tasted it. So rather, Rupa Goswami thought, my brother has come, I have to give something for him to eat. So he made a kheer and served Sanatan Goswami. And Sanatan Goswami had this kheer and said, who made this? From where did you get? I've never tasted any kheer in my life like this, and this is not from this material world. And Rupa Goswami smiled and said, no, I make this kheer every day. A girl from the nearby village, for the last 4 years, she is supplying me milk, and I make this kheer, it's like every day. And Sanatan Goswami said, no, this is not normal kheer, it's a special one. Please take me to that house. And both of them went to that house, that village, that nearby village, the girl who used to bring milk. And Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami asked, where is your daughter who used to supply milk for us every day? Then the mother said, my daughter, she got married 4-5 years back and left this village. My daughter is not here now, she is in some other village. Then Rupa Goswami realized Radharani was coming in that gopi's form every day for 4 continuous years and supplying milk for Rupa Goswami. The relationship, to have Radharani, realize Radharani, have darshan, glorify, only these kind of Babajis can do. Because they have Krishna and nothing else in their life. So on this day, we should try to make a very, very sincere prayer at the lotus feet of Radharani to develop a pure bhakti in this lifetime. Enough of, like Prabhupada told Bhakti Charu Maharaj. Bhakti Charu Maharaj was very young. He was assisting Prabhupada, and he was not leaving Prabhupada's room. Like all these disciples, when they see Guru, they will be in the room. They'll try to take maximum association. They don't feel like moving away. So Bhakti Charu Maharaj was like, hanging around in Prabhupada's room and not going out. His seva is over. So Prabhupada raised his eyebrows and asked, what? So Bhakti Charu Maharaj was like shocked. What answer I should give? What answer I can give? And he was like shocked. And Prabhupada smiled and said, one lifetime. Please surrender, give up this one lifetime fully for Krishna. We have tried enough lifetimes, in our own personal ambitions and desire and this. This one lifetime you give completely for Krishna. It's a very easy statement, but very tough one. So let us pray to Radharani. We are all not qualified. I can't make that statement because maybe wonderful devotees are there in this association. Generally, we are all struggling to wake up in the morning, chanting 16 rounds. Some days we fail, miss the chanting and make it up. All sorts of, sometimes devotees don't make it up also. They keep writing and they rub it and they start from the beginning. We have ego, we have competition. So the word Radharani itself is not in our range. And Prabhupada very clearly said in Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, Hare means Radharani. So why don't Acharya simply recommend us, Radhe Krishna, Radhe Radhe, Krishna Krishna, Radhe Ram, something like that. They gave Hare. Even the term was not pronounced, So let us make a sincere prayer on this holy day that we should be able to understand and make this journey back to home in this lifetime itself, and that's simply possible, only possible by Radharani's mercy. And for that we have to really be free from this material bondages. Srimati Radharani ki jai. And also today, being His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Guru Maharaj's 50th sannyas anniversary, Golden Jubilee celebrations. Took sannyas, Guru Maharaj took sannyas in the age of 19. Actually, when Prabhupada decided that for Radhashtami, he will award sannyas, was not there in the list. So Prabhupada saw the list and asked, where is Jayapataka's name? And Prabhupada asked that name to be added. I have personally read quite some articles about sannyas ashram and things like that. Not very easy one. Like a sandalwood. Sandalwood we keep rubbing and the sandalwood kills himself and gives aromatic paste to the people. So sannyas life means nyasa, nothing personal. Sarvasanga parityaga, giving up everything. Karmana manasa vacha sarvavastasu sarvada sarvatra maitunatyagam. Not by words, thoughts, deeds. There is no lust and anger in that sannyas ashram. And we can hardly count people who have taken sannyas and continued successfully for 50 years in the present lifetime. It was possible and many were there during Madhvacharya's time, Ramanujacharya's time and things like that. But in this present century, and Prabhupada in a Sannyas Diksha lecture, he has very clearly said, by accepting sannyas ashram and practicing, going back to Krishna is confirmed. 75% is confirmed. And Prabhupada said, even people are Mayavadi sannyasis. Because they have controlled their senses and mind, Brahman is very close, so you have to pay respects to them, even though they are Mayavadi sannyasis. That's why you will see many Gaudiya Vaishnava personalities have taken sannyas from Mayavadis, including Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya took sannyas from Keshav Bharati, many personalities, they have taken sannyas from non-Vaishnava background. Sannyas ashram is so glorious, and that too in the present age. I think only in ISKCON you will have this kind of jewels. 50 years of sannyas ashram. And what and all instructions Prabhupada has given, it's available. 60 or 50 instructions which he has given to His Holiness Jayapataka Swamiman. One of that is very beautiful, renovating the historical places where the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya has happened. So Guru Maharaj is like getting places where Sridhara's house and Vakreshwar Pandit's house, Srivas Thakur, Srinidhi's house, like that. They're getting all those places part of history. Accepting so many disciples. I don't know, it may be audacious and wrong if we compare Prabhupada's disciples to those great personalities from Ramanuja Sampradaya, Madhva Sampradaya. But sure, we are so fortunate that we are living in the times where these great personalities are also living, and some of us were able to accept discipleship from these great personalities, wonderful personalities. We have to just please them by preaching as many people as we can bring into Krishna consciousness. And I don't think in Guru Maharaj's history, he has taken a break or a holiday or leave or anything like that. We have all that. Even from preaching life, we have little breaks and little holidays. And he's finished 50 years of sannyas and 51 years in ISKCON life. Not a single day. In the hospital also, in coma also, he was preaching and serving. And now, I openly challenge, he works more than any of us in this online satsanga. Sure, just today today, Morning he gave Bhagavatam class online. Then from morning 10 o'clock to afternoon 1 o'clock, he visited all the temples in South India and Eastern India. Online, he went 5 minutes to all the temples. He came to our temple also, 5 minutes, all the temples. He saw the darshan of deities and he spoke to the online, he spoke to the devotees, encouraged them to preach. That went on till 2 o'clock. Then he would have taken lunch, little rest, 6:15, again he gave class, and night he is visiting 2 countries. And he goes to sleep. 60% of his body doesn't work and cooperate. In this age, at the age of 71, he works more than any of us. A senior disciple of Prabhupada said this statement. Prabhupada proved old age is not a hindrance in bhakti, because at the old age Prabhupada traveled the world 11 times and established 130 temples and 5,000 initiatives. You can't even imagine that. Prabhupada proved that old age is not a hindrance. His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj proved disease is not a hindrance. Still travels. Glorious personalities. We are very happy to be his disciples and followers, and each and every sannyas, disciples of Prabhupada, or you name them, disciples of Prabhupada, they are all chosen ones, the blessed ones sent for our sake. So we should respect Prabhupada's army. And there are few generals even now, senior disciples of Srila Prabhupada, sannyas disciples of Srila Prabhupada, still taking this movement ahead. We are very grateful and thankful, and we can offer very sincere prayers on this day. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimati Radharani ki jai, Radhashtami ki jai. Hare Krishna.